Reports, finance, and administrative activities. Number 20190214, Department of Finance. Mr. Grant Dewsome.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Tonight for our presentation, we are going to have our auditors, CRI, Ms. Amy Verbeen and Philip Rebo, discuss the results of the 2018 audit.
Good evening. I'm Philip Rebo. I have with me Amy Verbeen, who is the audit partner on the engagement. You're being passed out a financial presentation that summarizes the audit for 2018. And as you get that, let me say that the audit report this year is close to 200 pages. Some additional disclosures that we had to make. So as in the past, we've taken the liberty to summarize it in a very short presentation. So to get through there quickly here. So if you look at the presentation on page 1, I will go through our audit findings. In connection with the 2018 audit, we issued 3 audit reports. An audit report on the basic financial statements and 2 government auditing standards reports. You had about 3.2 million in federal expenditures in 2018. So we had to issue what's referred to as a single audit report. So 3 different reports were issued. I'm pleased to report that we had no findings. All 3 reports were unmodified, commonly referred to as a clean opinion, taking no exceptions to the accounting or reporting of St. Charles Parish. So again, they were all clean opinions, not modified for any issues. We did issue a management letter this year. A management letter just makes recommendations of a very minor nature, basically our management letter dealt with the timely and accurate reconciliation of capital assets. As you may know, the parish has about $372 million in capital assets, and this year we had about $34 million in additions. So those are substantial numbers. And the parish is in the past have just reconciled those at the end of the year, and during that reconciliation, it takes a very long and arduous task to get that reconciled. So we issued a recommendation that they be done more timely, perhaps quarterly, and that's reconciled back to your books. Again, because of the nature and the volume of those fixed assets, that's reconciled to your books on a quarterly basis. So Grant looked at agreed with our recommendation, and that's all contained in the management letter. We've had to do some statewide agreed upon audit procedures. As you remember, we go back a couple of years. We've been doing these things for the legislative auditor. There's some findings on the bottom of page 1 and on the top of page 2, and they're very minor findings. I won't even go through them in detail, but Grant's aware of them and and correcting those findings. But again, they're very minor in nature. We also, starting on page 3, I guess we've had some graphs that do an historical financial perspective of St. Charles Parish's financials, and I'll let Amy go through those and show you the trends.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. I'm going to walk through these starting on page 3. The first is the governmental net position. There really wasn't, overall for all of these, you'll notice there's not a large change from last year to the current year. Most of the changes have to do with a required implementation of a required standard this year, dealing with OPEB or the other post-employment benefits, some retirement benefits that the parish offers its employees. There was a standard that was required to be implemented this year that caused a change in the calculation. Didn't cause a change in the benefits, just a change in the calculations behind the benefits that use actuarial amounts. So that had some significant effect on some of these that you'll see. The governmental net position there, you can see in blue the net investment in capital assets increased a bit. As Philip mentioned, there was quite a bit of $34 million in capital outlay this year. That change there from last year to this year was that capital outlay exceeding depreciation. And then the restricted and unrestricted didn't have much of a change for the governmental net position. Page 4, which is the proprietary funds, that's the sewer and water. The net investment in capital assets here was actually pretty stable, as well as the restricted. The unrestricted had a big hit. Last year was 3.4 million down to negative 1.4 million. That's the effect of this new standard. It just caused some of these funds to take a pretty good hit in the current year. The new method of calculation will remain, so you should see things leveling off. You won't see the fluctuation. There was a new calculation last year for part of the retirement plan, and then a new one for a different part of the retirement benefits this year, but that should level off now going forward. Page 5, the fund balance. This is the general fund available for general operations of the parish. The increase there has to do with, there was an increase in transfers into that fund. There was also increases in ad valorem taxes, sales taxes, a couple of other taxes, and as well as a decrease actually in general fund capital outlay this year. So more funds stayed in there, more amounts stayed in that fund. Page 6, the special revenue fund balance. A bit of an increase there as well. There was a small sales tax increase for that fund, but largely it was an intergovernmental revenue increase coming into that fund, offset a little bit by a slight increase in this fund of capital outlay. A lot of capital outlay going on this year. Page 7 highlights revenues from different fund types. Most of them, again, remained pretty stable. The general fund in the sort of the darker blue, road and drainage maintenance is the red. The WBHPL grant, which is the purple there's not much there. And then the light blue is the non-major. Pretty much all of those stayed the same. The big change was in flood protection, which is the green. Just due to projects being completed in the year, a lot of flood protection projects being completed during the year. Page 8, this is the expenditures of those same funds. And the expenditures overall pretty much remain the same from last year to this year. There wasn't none of the funds had a large increase or decrease in expenditures this year from last year. Page 9 is just sort of a picture of the capital outlay expenditures. The highest year recently was back in 2015. The total capital expenditures have gone down a little, but they went up some from last year, from 18.4 million to 20.4 million. These are all just capital outlays approved by the council and then carried out by the parish officials. Page 10 is the composition of long-term debt. And I'll mention and just point out that the orange and purple here are related to those retirement benefits. The orange being the pension liability, which changed last year some, and then this year, that pension liability actually, again, based on actuarial calculation, became an asset. So you see that one kind of flip negative. And then the purple there, that net post-employment obligation, went from 11 million up to 17 million. Again, that's a change in the calculation. It's not a change in the benefits received. And then page 11 is a pictorial view of the sales and property tax trends. The green line there is your sales taxes, which you can see went up a little bit and have gone up the past couple of years. And then the property taxes have kind of leveled off a bit the last 2 or 3 years. They've been very, very stable, the property taxes. And that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Any questions?
Anything to agree? Okay. All right, well, thank you, Philip and Amy. Any questions or comments from the council? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you all.
Thank you.